Almost all applications require some way of keeping and reading configuration values. ASP.NET Core can work with a variety of application configuration data sources, from JSON, XML, and INI files over in-memory settings to command line arguments or environment variables. The most common place to store settings is in a JSON file, appsettings.json. We've encountered that before. It was added automatically via the API template, and it contains some logging information. Let's open it. What we want to do is store the to and from addresses used by our mail services in this file. So we'll need to add two key value pairs. But seeing this is a JSON file, we can work with hierarchies, which allows us to better structure our settings. So we start with mail settings, and then add the mail to address and mail from address as children. But how does ASP.NET Core know that it should read these settings from this file? Well, we already looked into that before. As you remember, a call into create builder results in a call into create default builder. And if we open that one again in ASP.NET Core source code, we can see that it also adds JSON files as configuration files. So the JSON files are added as sources of configuration by calling into add JSON file. The file name that is searched for is appsettings.json. It's an optional file, and whenever it is changed, it's automatically reloaded. This means that you don't need to reset your web server when you make a configuration change. I'm assuming that those of you that are used to working with web config files in the old ASP.NET will be very happy to hear this. I'm going to ignore the next add JSON file statement for now. We'll get to that in the next demo. Up next is accessing our configuration object. We do that by injecting an iConfiguration object in the class where we need access to configuration values. Currently, that's in our local mail service. An iConfiguration implementing class is automatically registered on the container as it's considered a framework service, so we can inject it here. Let's name it configuration. We can store it in a field as we did before, but we don't actually need to do that. All we need to do is read two values from it and assign those values to the mail to and mail from fields. To do that, we access the indexer on the configuration variable and we pass through the key. We work with a hierarchy, so we first have an object mail settings, followed by mail to address and mail from address respectively. We separate this by a colon, which represents the hierarchy. For your information, these keys are case insensitive. Let's initialize the mail to and mail from fields as empty strings, so we can be sure that the values are coming from the configuration file. And we can actually make them read-only as well, as we don't want to allow these to be changed after the local mail service has been constructed. There we go. And just to be complete, let's do the same in our cloud mail service. So let me copy this over. Let's add a constructor and inject an iConfiguration object. And let's assign the values from the configuration object to our mail to and mail from fields. Alright, let's give this a try. Let's delete a point of interest. That should result in a mail being sent. We get back a 204 no content. So far, so good. And if we look at the output, we see that the local mail service was used to send the mail, this time with two email addresses coming from our configuration object. So far, so good. But we're not completely there yet. Different environments might require different configuration files. The to address in a production environment likely won't be the same as the to address when developing. Let's check out how we can do that in the next demo.